You're listening to the Culture Junkie podcast, where we go beyond the surface of pop culture.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Xandra. Together, we dive into the craft process and passion that drive today's creators. This is the Culture Junkie podcast.
Hey guys, today we've got a really cool interview lined up. Will Adams, he's a Chicago-based independent filmmaker, writer, producer, known for satirical, self-aware storytelling and for championing grassroots urban and Chicago-centered cinema. He's the founder of Lokekey Productions, an indie film company focused on original storytelling and theatrical exhibition. I saw a couple of his things, of course, in preparation. I saw Sex Ain't Love. I saw the first 4 or 5 minutes of that. I want to see that movie. You have to tell me where I can catch up with that. And I'm also just in seeing Step Off the Block. That was from I think 2017, and that had a theatrical release and some Chicago media coverage. Will, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I can't complain. It's a little cold today. It might snow, but that's Canada. That's Toronto.
Which is crazy because it's spring here. And let's see, last week, Sunday, it was cold. Then Monday, it was 70. Then the next day, it snowed.
We call this time of year not winter. It's not spring yet. It's not winter.
I don't think we're going to have spring in Chicago. So,
Oh, dear. Well, anyway, thanks again for coming on. Listen, tell me something. What got you into filmmaking?
watching somebody do it horribly. And I was always a camera guy. I like being a camera guy because it was the easiest thing to do. I shoot something and then pass you the footage and I'm done. It's the easiest way to get paid, the easiest thing to do. And then I had learned I knew how to write. So I didn't write anything for me to shoot in particular, but I knew how to write. And I was working on somebody else's project and I'm like, this is not working. I could do better than this. Then I did my first movie and it was awful. It was horrible. And I said, oh, I'm lying. I can't do better than this. So then I had to go back to the drawing board and understand what it took to direct. Because in my first one, I would let the actors pretty much do whatever they wanted to do, opposed to listening to me. All right, so they were reading off the same script, but it looked like they were doing a different movie. And they were all theatrical actors, so I also didn't tell them, hey, it's a microphone right there. So people are, all right, what are you doing? Get up. No, you don't. It's a microphone. What are you doing? You come over here. It's like, and it's
For
hard
sure.
to get on screen. It's hard to get you to understand the feeling if somebody's yelling and projecting as if they were in a theater, because this box right here is what basically shows us how to feel. And if they're acting like they're in a theater, they're bigger. The screen is not as big as the theater. The screen is smaller, so you got to dial it back a little bit so you can have feeling
So,
in it. So after that, I started doing other movies and I got better because Renako Jahi allowed me to come in and watch him direct. He directs screenplays, but I also just adapted his style of directing into film.
okay. So did you follow a traditional path into filmmaking, or were you more like self-taught from being a cameraman? Did you go to film school?
I went to Columbia College, so I went to school
Okay.
for it. I understood every aspect of it, but the easiest way to make money and the easiest job, which was me being lazy, was to be a shooter. So what ended up happening was I had to learn how to edit. I already knew how to write. So I had to learn how to edit. I already knew how to shoot. I had to learn how to light your subject. So I had to do all those things. Once I learned how to do those things, then I became, well, actually, I take that back. I had classes in those. So that's how I learned how to do those. And I integrated it into when on the outside. So I know how to do everything. So when anybody asks me you're an independent filmmaker, so what do you do? I say everything. Everything, I do everything. So it comes to shooting, I'm even the gaffer of my own projects.
There you
I
go.
light my own stuff. I write my own stuff. I can write anybody's stuff. I've given scripts away to let people do whatever they want to do with it. But I am whatever. If you find another independent filmmaker that does everything that I do, that's the independent filmmaker. If somebody said, oh yeah, I write, I'm an indie filmmaker, I write, you're just a writer. oh, I'm an indie filmmaker. I direct. You're just a director, but you're not an indie filmmaker. An indie filmmaker produces, and that falls on the line of everything. It doesn't just mean that I'm a writer and then I'm about to have somebody else shoot my stuff and have somebody else edit my stuff. You're kind of like an indie producer, but you're not an indie filmmaker. When you're doing all of that, when you got that hat on and you dancing, doing all those different dances, you become an indie filmmaker.
Well, listen, when you put it that way, the next question is obvious. So when you were starting out, what was the biggest challenge? If you've got to do all these things, what was the hardest hurdle to get over?
Time management, understanding that you can't show up with the cast, with the equipment. If everybody shows up together, now you have the actors standing around looking stupid. I always say it's looking stupid, just looking at, I wonder how long it's going to take them to put this stuff together. I wonder why they didn't have this stuff together before I got here. That time management is the most important thing to me because my first movie, 14-hour shoot days. Now, the people that have been with me since the beginning, they benefit off of 2-hour shoot days now. Because when I get there, I bring all the equipment, I set it up. So when they get there, they just grab and start working. Then the actors get there 2 hours. Somebody said that, I bet you the outtakes to this movie was super funny. No, there weren't any outtakes. We shot, we got in there, and we got out. Another filmmaker, Mark, he said, that's unreal. 2 hours? Usually it's a 12-hour shoot day. I said, that's a 12-hour shoot day comes from people not showing up on time, people not knowing their lines. Even if you don't know your lines, cool. I'm going to feed you your lines right now. And you're going to just repeat after me. Action. The set not being together when you get there, a whole bunch of stuff. People playing on set. When we say we ready to go, everybody is ready to go. And that's not because I'm a tyrant, even though I've been called a tyrant, but I don't want to sit in front of you for a whole 12 hours. And you don't want to sit with me for a whole 12 hours. So let's get through this as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. But I'm going to say I'm not the best filmmaker in the world, but I'm the most efficient indie filmmaker that you're going to find.
Awesome. Awesome. So then looking back, what did you wish you knew when you got started that you've learned over the course of your filmmaking career?
Don't try to shoot everything in one day.
Okay.
Because you think about if you're shooting a scene in an office, that's going to take time. Then you break that equipment down. It's drive time to get to the next location. And then when you drive to the next location, that's drive time. Now you got to take everything out the car. You got to build it back up again. And then it becomes a big old mess. One scene at a time. It's going to cost a little more, but one scene at a time. And it'll actually be better on you. It's less stressful and you won't break your equipment because in situations like that, you'll end up damaging your equipment. You rushing. We broke a tripod before for a light. And I was like, I'm like, what happened? The light, and now we can't use that light anymore. That light's dead.
So you own all your own equipment or you rent?
Yeah, I own my equipment. I might rent one day.
Amazing.
I might rent one day, but I own it right now.
So, let's a little bit more about your career. What kind of stories were you drawn to early on and how has that evolved?
I can't say I'm drawn to any stories, actually. It's just life in general comes around. So when you said you saw Sex Ain't Love, right? Well, you didn't see all of it. But if you go to my webpage, you click on it, you can see the whole movie on that. But so here, Sex Ain't Love, it was between Sex Ain't Love and this movie called Elena. Sex Ain't Love was a romantic comedy. Elena was an action film about an assassin. I wrote those two openings to that movie. I showed everybody the opening to Sex Ain't Love before I showed everybody the opening to Elena, and everybody jumped on Sex Ain't Love. And I didn't even write the script. I went on the radio talking about it, saying this is what I want to do. It was like, oh, so you haven't even shot this? Like, oh, okay. And then I raised money for it. After I raised money for it, I was like, I need to write a script. And then I wrote the script. Then I said, I need to get actors for it. So then I did that, and then we created the movie. So that's how it depends on what I'm feeling at the time. Because when Tubi movie came out, how Tubi movie came about, I was scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, watching people complain about bad movies on Tubi. They didn't say the movie. They just saying, come on, Tubi, you better this. Come on, Tubi. Tubi, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I started thinking to myself, I should just make a bad movie because that'll get eyes on me. And I said, wait a minute. That won't get eyes on me because the movies that they're posting, you don't know the name of that. You just know they gave it the Tubi movie name. So if they gave it the Tubi movie name, you're not getting recognition from it. What can I do to mimic this, but actually make it better? And which is the self-aware, where the actors break character and complain about the same thing you complain about it. So it turns around where you're laughing with us instead of at us.
So that process came about because, like you said, you were looking at it and seeing people making terrible movies. So what did the creative process look like from the time you got that inkling to completing it? How long did it take? What was the,
Well,
process?
I was still unsure about that whole concept in general because I started asking people. And when you ask an actor, when you gonna shoot it? You gonna shoot it today? Huh? They want to just jump on the project. They don't really care what it is. It could be Monsters in Outer Space or whatever. They could care less because it's a project they can jump on. But
For sure.
when I asked people that weren't actors, and it was like, well, why don't you just write it? And I wrote it. It took me 3 days to write it. And once I wrote it, Desmond and Shamar, they would give me ideas. They would send me clips of other bad Tubi movies. And I intentionally didn't take those movies and remake those. I made something similar too, because I didn't want to really be talking bad about the filmmakers. It's not the filmmakers' fault that they're on here as a Tubi movie. It's Tubi. It's Tubi's fault. So
That's right.
what I did was I put the script together. I reached out to a few people, reached out to Damon Williams. I reached out to Adele Givens. Damon said he was talking to his wife about it. And then Adele Givens read it, and she was in 19 pages of the script and said, I'm only in page 19. This script is funny as hell. And she hadn't even made it to her part yet.
That's amazing. So then tell me, were there any major challenges that almost, during production that could have derailed things, or was it a pretty smooth process?
Really, it was pretty smooth. But that's because I've been doing it a while. I've been
Right.
doing it a long while. And, I didn't follow my format, which is script, locations, actors. I went script, actors, locations, and just work with everybody on days that they can shoot and making sure that they were available. And the reason why I do it the first way, script, location, actors, because you lock your locations in and the actors, they'll let you know if, they can do it or not. And if they can't do it, you find somebody else. But if you do it this other way, the actors probably will say yay. And then when you get your location locked down, they'll be like, nah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Those would have, what would have derailed it is somebody said they showed up late or they didn't show up at all. But I think my reputation precedes me because everybody showed up on time and before time. Sometimes they showed up too early. Like, I'm like, why are you here so early? Oh, I was just, no, you don't have, we're setting up. Sit in your car. Sit in your car and go over your lines. You have no home here right now. You have a home at 2:00 at the time you're supposed to be here.
So you're pretty organized, right? Did
Now,
you have it fully mapped out, or did some things evolve during the filming?
no, everything was fully mapped out.
Wow.
Now, me being organized evolved over the years because I used to show up and everybody show up with me. And that's the worst thing because you standing there and they're like, all right, we could have been sitting at home because it's going to take me an hour to set the equipment up. So if I'm setting up the equipment and setting up the scene and setting up the lights, that's an hour that this person's just sitting there just doing nothing, wasting life. And I feel bad for that. A lot of times they say, well, when you go to matter of fact, a comedian told me one day, it's like when you hurry up and get here so you can sit, or hurry up and get here so you can hurry up and wait. Yeah, hurry up and get here so you can hurry up and wait. I don't want that. I want you to hurry up and get here so once you get through the door. So we're going to do a run through? No run through. Why not? Because your best comes out through the first. The more we run through it, the weaker everything gets. You run out of steam.
So you go by vibe.
They go by my vibe.
They go by your vibe. Well, do you have moments that just click creatively between you and the actors and you say, that's not exactly how I thought it was going to go, but I like that?
I can say Randall did that, but he stopped doing it. Not in this movie, but in Plight, the Independent Filmmaker, the web series. He would improv, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But then the other actors were complaining, saying, I don't know when to jump in and jump out.
Right.
So that happened. So, but in this movie, everybody stayed on script, except for me, my daughter and I. My daughter and I, we didn't
Okay.
stay on script, but
Yeah.
everybody else stayed on script.
So listen, as the filmmaker, you get some little creative leeway, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I threw that,
So in
that
this
whole thing is
particular
thrown in
film,
there. Say again?
to me, what scene are you the most proud of?
All of them are babies.
All of them, each and every one.
Yeah. The reason why, because they make you laugh. And the only issue that I'm having with the movie in general is people are not getting, if you have 1, 2, 3 jokes, they're not getting the second joke. The reason why they're not getting the second joke is because they're laughing through the second
They're
joke
too
and
busy
hitting.
laughing.
Right. That's my only issue. And that was me watching them, watching people in the theater as it was showing. And I was like, y'all laughing through, you gonna miss. But then they said, I gotta see this again. I said, oh, okay.
Well, and I think that's the key. When you have a movie like that and you miss part of it because you're enjoying yourself, you're still going to go back and look at it again, and you're going to find it, even more fresh the second time through, right? So
I'm
that,
glad. I'm
yeah, so
appreciative
that's
to
good
that
on
because
you.
yeah,
Yeah. Listen, so let's talk a little about you creatively. How would you describe your voice as a filmmaker?
loud, obnoxious, sometimes overbearing.
Okay. Is that you in real life as well, or is that just you as a filmmaker?
Me as a filmmaker, that's not me in real life. I'm quiet. Like when I got a friend, Lawrence, when we go out to dinner, he's, hey, I'm an actor and this is Will Allen, he's a filmmaker. I'm like, no, I don't. When I'm outside, I'm just outside enjoying life. I go to dinner. If I'm by myself, I'm quiet. I'm not telling anybody about any project that I'm doing unless I feel like they might be into it. There's when I have to, that's the vibe thing. Like, you giving me eye contact, I'm gonna give you eye contact. Okay, here's a flyer that has the QR code where you can watch the movie anytime you get ready to. But other than
Okay.
that, I'm just pretty quiet, laid back.
Right. So, you know, like so you're a Chicago filmmaker. Is Chicago a character in all of your films, so to speak? Is it always a recurring theme, or could it be anywhere?
It could be anywhere. Tubi movie could be anywhere. That could be anywhere. The dialogue, they say us Chicagoans have an accent, but no. It's
Yeah,
that
you do
that
have an accent.
that Midwest. Don't you know? No, we don't talk like that. We don't talk like that. But
You sure?
yeah, I'm positive. At least I think so. But yeah, no, it's the stuff that happens in the movies can happen anywhere. Just like a Step Off the Block, that's any urban city USA. And Step Off the Block is pretty much about two teenagers that have a life altering decision when they get shot at. You have the option to go back and get revenge, or the other one had the option to go step. And that's where he stepped off the block. Little pun on word, but
There you go.
so, but that's where that could be any city USA or any city, any urban city of the world that deal with two guys who live in those type of circumstances.
Fair enough. So listen then. So who are your biggest influences?
I don't really have any.
None.
Yeah. So here's the thing. All right. So I'll say that Quentin Tarantino and Guy Ritchie influenced the way I changed the style of the way I write. Because I like the fact that they have multiple stories in one movie. Because we're not just following one character. Because if you see Sex Ain't Love, we pretty much, it's all about Zeke. Well, you see Tubi movie, it's about Jason and Everett. It's about Erica. It's about Angie. It's about a slew of characters. So I like that because you might not like my main character the entire movie, but you like the story of these other characters, and it gives the movie a bigger audience. It gives the audience more to grab onto, and it also expands the audience of the movie itself.
Well, I get a Melvin Van Peebles vibe from looking at your stuff. I think you got a very similar way of looking at scenes and blocking them out. But anyway, that's just me, and he's one of my faves. But anyhow, do you see yourself more as a storyteller or like a visual artist? How do you?
Storytelling. I like stories. Stories, just like I was just telling you, everybody has a story. I call it story-driven filmmaking and not character-driven filmmaking, because character-driven filmmaking means that we got to watch this one character story unfold throughout the whole movie. I say story-driven because now everybody has a story. You might have 4 people that have a story that crash together at the end. It's like the movie Crash. But that I like stuff like that because even if I don't like this character's story, I relate to the other character's story. Or if I don't like these other 2 characters, I have something to grab onto. And then it keeps me involved in the movie.
So the story is what drives your movie making, and you feel that that's got to resonate with the audience and stick with them in order to, to draw them in. Eh?
Yeah, because they're the ones that's going to watch the movie. Doesn't matter how much I feel about it, but it has to be something that I think that they're interested in, or I have to focus on trying to make them happy. Because if you make movies that I like, it's basically somebody get a gun and they just shooting at each other back and forth. So and that won't fly with everybody. So I try to adhere to the audience so they'll understand. I mean, so not understand, but so they'll feel what I'm doing.
That's amazing. So listen, so what have you been working on since Tubi?
Well, we have a series called Fluke that I've been pitching to networks. We have 3 concept episodes that we created, and the show is about an actor he fails upward. He doesn't fail, period, but he fails upward. So Fluke is him failing upward means Fluke having bad luck and falling into these great situations that actually benefit him. I would say it's Atlanta meets Curb Your Enthusiasm on steroids.
Okay, that sounds like something.
And I feel like that show needs to be out now because Atlanta has left the void. I think Atlanta ended too soon. It should have ended later. I think it needed one more season to cap it off. But Fluke can pick up the ball and carry it.
Okay. So since you've had, you've had obviously success, has the response to Tubi changed the way you approach projects now? No?
No, the reason why it hasn't changed the way I approach projects is because I knew Tubi is the movie that nobody knew they want to see. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, sure.
Because if everybody's posting online saying, "Hey, come on, Tubi, what are you doing?" They don't know that they want to see this full-length film about what everybody's complaining about. So I'm just pretty much putting out what I feel like the audience wants to see. Now, I'm staying on lines of comedy. The next film is probably a dark comedy named Plight of the Indie Filmmaker, the movie. It's a dark comedy, but I stay on comedy because I think comedy is universal. Everybody loves to laugh, but drama isn't, because you like coffee. I like hot chocolate, but I don't like coffee. This drama of coffee might be different from the drama of hot chocolate. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to say, but if you don't like hot chocolate, my drama of hot chocolate is different from the drama that you like that has coffee in it. So you're not going to resonate with this drama of hot chocolate like you do with the drama of coffee. So, and that's what I'm learning. Until my platform gets big enough, then I can come with a full-scale drama where people say, well, I'm just going to see it because I know him. He's a director. Because when you look at Step Off the Block, it doesn't resonate with everybody because everybody has not been in that particular situation or know anybody has been in that situation. So let's say two youths that are struggling with life-altering choice of getting revenge on somebody who shot at them. A lot of people don't have that. And I'm not just saying other people, I'm talking about us too. Some of us go our whole lives without getting shot at.
Tell me about it. Nobody's ever shot at me, right?
Right. So it doesn't resonate with everybody. So that's why I said that as far as dramas go, I'm staying out of that lane for now until the platform gets bigger enough for that. Because
Fair enough.
comedies, it can run, everybody can laugh at something funny. As far as drama, it has to resonate with them in order for them to feel it.
Well, with your experience and your success, are you finding it easier to get projects made now?
I'll be waiting for the money. Once the money show up, we can just start shooting. This process of Tubi movie was difficult for me because Tubi movie has been done for 2 years, and Buffalo 8 just put it out February 6th.
Okay.
I am used to doing a movie and finishing it today, having screening somewhere else, getting a theatrical run somewhere, and then putting it on a platform and letting it do whatever it does. Never talking to anybody about anything and just doing another movie.
Okay.
So now, so I was trying to before Buffalo Eight said we're gonna let you know we gonna let your movie go live. I said okay, cool. So while I'm sitting on my hands, I'm feeling antsy. I said, you know what? We're gonna raise money for Plight of the Indie Filmmaker. We're gonna raise money for that, and then we're gonna shoot it. So I started Indiegogo campaign for Plight of the Indie Filmmaker, and then what ended up happening is I had to walk away from it because Buffalo 8 just told me, oh yeah, we dropping it in February 6th. All right. So I dropped that and then started focusing on promoting this and trying to figure out how to promote it. You think marketing, that's putting a trailer in somebody's face every 5 minutes and people get sick of saying that. And especially online, they see the same thing open and it's like, oh, I saw that already. And they keep scrolling. But
Yeah.
things like this podcast that you have, this is golden because this gives people a chance to hear my perspective of how I felt about the movie or answer any questions that they may have because they saw the movie.
Okay.
I
So
think
let's
this
so
is dope.
yeah, well, it's weird the way you told me that, that they just put it out there and kind of had to, stop what you were doing, and promote this. So do you do you usually end up with projects that you have to shelve and then kind of revisit, or is this the first time this thing's kind of happened that way?
First time it's happened that way. Like I said, I got tired of sitting on my hands and I was getting ready to just say, all right, we're about to just do this. And when I said we was going to do this, then they said, all right, it's going live February 6th. February 6th, huh? February 6th is going live. Okay. It went live February 6th. So now I just had to drop that and then focus on this.
So, like you said, you're focused on a comedy. What kind of stories around, what kind of comedic stories are you going to tell next?
Plight of the Indie Filmmaker is about two filmmakers who actually made it to the production, actually to the studio to talk to a producer. The
Okay.
producer basically has a brother that's pretty much a mob boss. And the studio producer's like, yo, my cousin never gets involved. We stay out of each other's lives. How did you get this meeting? And they have to tell this crazy story of how they got there. And it's a dark comedy. Matter of fact, one of the characters from Plight, he's in it. And he was like, you killed my character? I said, it's just the movie. The movie is the cap off. It's over. The movie's done. It's
Done.
done. It's over. I mean, it's done anyway. Oh, pretty much. It's going to be a fun movie. A lot of swearing, a lot of well, one thing is hopefully, yeah, I don't. We shot it before, but I don't want as much nudity as we had in before. I don't need the nudity.
Listen, I saw that Eddie Murphy film about I forget what the director he was, but he said the movie's got to have three things, right? He's got to have comedy, titties, and karate, and that was it. If you have those three things, you got to hit, right?
But that was Dolomite.
Dolomite, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true. So
I kind of
listen, sorry.
no. I was gonna go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I was gonna say, so you look back on it, if that's your philosophy, that's your philosophy. You need these things to make a movie. So I'll ask you this way then. Are you looking to stay indie or are you looking to expand into bigger productions?
I don't know. I might look to stay in indie because indie gives me more range. Nobody's
Right.
telling me what I can do
I was
or
gonna
you got to
say, you
reshoot
don't
this.
seem like the kind of guy who wants anyone to tell him how to run a movie, right?
Because if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. Matter of fact, what's funny is Lawrence told me when I showed him the script for Plight of the Independent Filmmaker, the web series, he was like, I don't know, I don't think this is gonna work. And then after after we shot it and it's cut together, he was like, we got something here. You just said it wasn't gonna work. And a lot of times people see something on paper and say it's not gonna work. And then once it's shot, oh, it is gonna work. It's
Right.
dope. That's why one of the reasons why a fluke has 3 concept episodes shot because I don't want them to think the first episode was a fluke. That was a fluke. That was luck. The second episode hit just as hard, and the third episode hit just as hard. So, it's just not like you seeing this on paper and be like, oh, okay, here's a script. I don't know how it's gonna come across on screen. Sure, let me show you. And then they see it, it's like, oh, yeah, pretty much.
So listen, so where do you see your filmmaking career in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'll probably be on this show again talking about the next movie.
Listen, you're welcome anytime. But okay, so then if everything goes right, what does success look like for you?
Success looks like for me, I don't have to wait for money to come in for this next movie to do the next movie. It'll already be there. I'm not really into a studio saying, "Hey, here's a big bag of money, so you can make this movie and we can take control of it," because they might not ever put it out. But if I have the money to do it myself and I can put it out, I'm okay with that. If I got to use my own money, I'm okay with using my own money.
That's
I'm
neat.
okay with
That's
that.
so all right. Well then, what keeps you motivated when things aren't going well? Because let's face it, every once in a while things go sideways.
Tomorrow the sun's coming out because that's a rainy day. That's a day not going well. A day it rained. We're supposed to shoot outside tomorrow. I mean, we're supposed to shoot outside today, and it's raining. And like, all right, it's raining today, guys. Can we shoot tomorrow? Yes.
Well then, what advice would you give to someone trying to make their first film right now in 2026?
Learn how to write. Learn how to light. Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to have great time management skills and have patience. Oh, edit. Learn how to edit too. You always want to have, when you're ending, you always want to have control of your footage. You don't want to give
Listen,
anybody your footage because, yo, how much money you got? All right, I need $30, so you can get your footage back. What? So you learn all the aspects of filmmaking, even if you're not going to do them. Learn them because who knows, you might have to do them.
yeah, that sounds like good advice. Well, listen, thanks for your time. This has been amazing. When people watch 2D, what do you want them to walk away thinking or feeling?
I hope this is not his only project. I hope this is not what he does, what he thinks is a good movie. And they scroll down my website and then they see the other stuff that I made. Like, oh, okay, thank God. Or I can't wait to see what he's doing next.
Well, Will, we can't wait to see what you're doing next. Thanks again for taking the time to come on with us here today, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.